"911, what are you reporting?"
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Justin here, as always. Thanks for stopping by and hanging out with me today to talk about Outwaters, the viral sensation. A movie so disturbing and offensive that you'll be puking in the aisles of the theater. You'll leave the theater in an ambulance. This was one of those viral TikTok scariest movie of all time things that happens now because the internet. But I'm here to say this movie kind of lives up to that, but it's all gonna come down to what kind of a horror fan you are. Are you the type of person that seeks out these disturbing, nauseating, exploitation-style horror films, or are you more of a casual fan? I would venture that the more casual fan watching this movie, this may be one of the most fucked up movies you've ever seen. But if you're a weirdo like me and you've seen every trauma film under the sun, and you've seen Terrifier 2 10 times, and Hostel and all those movies, this may just be a walk in the park for you. But the curiosity finally got the best of me, so I clicked on Screambox and I watched it. And honestly, after I watched it, I wasn't sure how I thought about it, so I let it sit for a couple days. And a few days later, while I was still thinking about those final moments in this movie, what made this movie go so viral. I can't get the last several 10-15 minutes of this movie out of my head, so I wanted to talk about it with you guys and see what you guys think. So let's go ahead and talk about what this thing's about. This movie was written by, directed by, and stars Robbie Banfitch. You got four friends. They head out to the Mojave Desert. Robbie, Angela, Michelle, and Scott. They venture out into a questionably remote area in the middle of nowhere to shoot a music video for their little hippy-dippy friend, Michelle. Robbie is an aspiring filmmaker. Their friend Angela is a stylist, hairstylist person. And then Robbie's brother Scott tags along for the ride and hang out. It's a pretty standard setup for a found footage film, although right off the rip, we know that shit's gonna hit the fan because the movie opens up with this panicked, crazy 911 phone call. As that phone call plays, we get some text on the screen saying that all of these four people that we're gonna see here have not been seen since the events that we're gonna see in the film. And the only evidence the police have to go by, the last footage or the last sight of any of these people, is on the memory cards of Robbie's camera. We have 3 memory cards, and that gives us the structure of the film. It's structured in 3 acts, memory card 1, 2, and 3. And that's your setup, that's your basic structure for this nearly hour and 50-minute runtime movie. That runtime does become an issue. We'll talk about that in a second. Memory card 1, that's kind of the boring getting to know you chit-chat that we get in a lot of these found footage movies. The camera clacks on, and then we meet all of our characters. We meet Michelle's hippie ass singing this little song over and over again that becomes a motif that we hear throughout the movie. You have to get through a lot of nothing going on for quite a long time. But once we hit about memory card 2, that's when we get into the desert, that's when we start shooting the footage, and that's where the movie kind of comes to life, when we get these great landscape. The movie is beautiful looking, it's just rough enough to have that found footage feel, but you still get these beautiful shots, these gorgeous wide shots of this open desert, and Michelle singing her songs and stuff. There is some really cool shots in here, and things start getting weird when they set up camp for the night. They start hearing crazy sounds and seeing flashes of light. There's this thundering sound that resembles almost bombs crashing. It's like bombs are going off constantly. These missile sounds that you don't know what they are. You kind of hear some sonar type sounds. You get rustling of tents. The next morning they wake up and they put the microphones up to the mountains and they hear strange sounds and they feel vibrations in the earth, and things start going progressively more and more off the rails to this extremely disorienting and more confusing, and it becomes more abstract. It seems something is playing with time. If you've seen movies like Coherence or The Endless, where you have these sort of warped time loop movies, you kind of feel like something like that's going on. And you know they're kind of in a strange area by clues that they find on the ground, certain items and certain signs. You get the feeling that these people are somewhere they should not be. This movie almost feels like you can interpret it in different ways. This is one of those movies you can't really spoil because it's so abstract and so strange. But what made this movie stick with me and what made this movie go viral is the last several minutes of this movie is really fucked up and really disturbing and kind of threw me for a loop. I kept waiting and wondering, you know, half hour goes by, 45 minutes, an hour and 10, and I'm like, what the fuck made this movie go so viral? And then you get to that last 10-15 minutes that made this movie go viral. Certain people start losing certain parts of their body, and it starts getting really fucked up, and it sticks with you. The imagery and the final moments of this movie will stick with you. Even if you are a seasoned exploitation horror fan, I think the last several minutes of this movie are gonna stick with you for a long time. It's just gonna be up to you, man, if you feel like the juice is worth the squeeze, because I've seen a lot of found footage movies and there usually is a lot of boring setup. Depending on what movie it is, it depends on what found footage you're watching, but this movie in particular has a lot of setup. They could have trimmed a lot of runtime off this movie. This movie did not need to be an hour and 50 minutes. Now, I gotta commend Robbie here, the director here, man, because he tried to do something different. There's a million found footage films out there. It's a cheap way for studios to get horror out there. It's a cheap way to make a film, but it's not easy to do something different and to try to be unique. And I feel like in that aspect, it doesn't always work 100%, but I gotta give the man credit for trying something different. I wanna know what you guys think of this. What do you think about the viral nature of this movie? Did it deserve to go viral? What do you think about viral horror? These movies seem to be popping up all the time now and blowing up on TikTok. What do you think about that whole trend? I guess it's just the culture we're living in. Are you interested in seeing Outwaters if you have not seen it? But let me know your thoughts if you have seen Outwaters, because I want to know what you guys think about it. But I think we're done here, guys. Stay weird. Remember to always be yourself, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.